Hello everyone, this is Monica Lakoju. Welcome to the channel, the UPSC Mascot. In the previous class, we have started with the historical background of the Indian Constitution, which is the chapter 1 in the part 1 constitutional framework. Okay, we have discussed various acts relating to the company rule, that is from 1773 to 1858. In this session, we are going to discuss about the Crown Rule from Government of India Act 1858 to the Communal Award. In the next session, we will deal with the Government of India Act 1935 and the Indian Independence Act of 1947. Okay friends, please take notes while watching this video. Okay, let's start with the Crown Rule, the Government of India Act 1858. Government of India Act 1858. So, after the revolt of 1857, which is known as the first war of the independence or the Sepoy Mutiny, this Government of India Act 1858 was came into being. So, this act was passed on the 2nd August 1858 and this was known as Act for the Better Government of India. So what has happened at that time? All the provisions of the British East India Company was liquidated and transferred its functions directly to the British Crown. So this act provided that India is to be governed directly in the name of the British Crown. So what are the provisions of this Government of India Act 1858? So this act designated the Governor General of India as the Viceroy of India. The first such Viceroy of India was the Lord Canning. Okay, Lord Canning was the first such Viceroy of India. And next, this act has abolished the Board of Control and the Court of Directors. That means it ended the system of the dual government. So, dual government system was ended in this act. And this act created a new office for the Secretary of State for India. Okay, this act created a new office for the Secretary of State for India. So she is responsible for the British Parliament. Okay, so under the Secretary of State for India, this act was appointed the 15-member Executive Council. Okay, 15-member Executive Council to assist the Secretary of State. In this, the Secretary of the State was the chairman and the 15-member Executive Council was the advisory body. Okay, advisory body. This whole thing is known as the body corporate. The Secretary of the State and the 15-member Executive Council, the whole thing was known as the body corporate. So this Secretary of State has taken all the powers and duties of the Court of Directors, and this Secretary of State for India has become the real channel for all the communications between the Britain and India. Okay, so Government of India Act 1858 was also known as the Act for the Good Government of India. Okay, next act was, this was briefly about the Government of India Act 1858. The next act was the Indian Council Act. Next act was the Indian Council Act 1861. This act was of the immense importance because one person has suggested the British Parliament to admit Indians into the administration of India. He argued, that person name was the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Actually, this is not important, so this is for your awareness. I am telling about the background of this act. So, he argued with the British Parliament, with the British government, that failure of the British to admit Indians into the law-making process was the major cause for the revolt of 1857, he argued. So, this act, first time it transformed the Indian Executive Council to function as a cabinet run on the portfolio system. Okay, on the portfolio system. Okay, this system was introduced by the Lord Canning in 1859. So in this system, each member was assigned with a portfolio of a particular department. Okay, so this was the background of the Indian Council Act of 1861. So coming to the provisions of the Indian Council Act of 1861, this act first time associated Indians into the law making process. Okay, at that time the Viceroy of India was the Lord Canning. So he nominated 3 Indians. One is the Raja of the Benares, Maharaja of the Patiala, and Sir Dinkar Rao. Okay, which was the first act that associated Indians into the lawmaking process? The act was the Indian Council Act of 1861. And then this act has made restoration of the legislative powers from the Bombay and Madras presidencies, which was taken away by the Charter Act of 1833. So what was the result of this? So what was the result of the restoration of the legislative powers of Bombay and Madras presidencies? The ultimate result was the internal autonomy. Internal autonomy means it is a independence or the freedom for the provinces. Okay, this restoration of legislative powers has resulted in the internal autonomy of the provinces in 1937. Okay, and the next, this act established the legislative councils in Bengal in 1862 and in northwestern provinces in 1866 and in Punjab in 1897 respectively. Okay, so this established the legislative councils of Bengal, northwestern provinces and the Punjab. And next, this act empowered the Viceroy. This act empowered the Viceroy to issue ordinances. Without consulting of the Executive Council. Okay, in case of emergencies. Okay, this act empowered the Viceroy of India to issue ordinances without consulting of the Executive Council in case of emergencies. The life of such an ordinance was 6 months. Okay, the life of such an ordinance was 6 months. Okay, this was briefly about the Indian Council Act of 1861. Okay, previously we have discussed about the Government of India Act 1858. Now we have discussed about the Indian Council Act of 1861. And now the next act was the Indian Council Act of 1892. Okay, Indian Council Act of 1892. This act entailed the provisions of increasing the non-official members of both the Central Legislative Council and the Provincial Legislative Council. So, in both the Central Legislative Council and the Provincial Legislative Council. So, in Central and the Provincial Legislative Councils, official majority was maintained. Okay, but they had increased the number of the non-official members in both the legislative councils. And next, this act has increased the functions of the legislative assembly. This act gave the power of discussing about the budget, and this act gave the power of addressing questions to the executive. Okay, so this act has provided the first time for the nomination of the non-official members of both the Central Legislative Council and the Provincial Legislative Council. Okay, so nomination of non-official members for both Central and the Provincial Legislative Councils. So for Central Legislative Council, the nomination of the non-official members was done by the Viceroy on recommendation of the Provincial Legislative Council and the Bengal Chamber of Commerce. Okay, and the nomination of the non-official members for the Provincial Legislative Council was done by the Governor on recommendations of the district boards, municipalities, trade associations, universities, Jamindars, and so on. So this act was first time has utilized the nomination, but it has not used any word like election in this act. Okay, the word election was not used in the Indian Councils Act of 1892. Okay, and the next act was the Indian Councils Act of 1909. Indian Councils Act of 1909. This is Morley-Minto reforms. Okay, Morley-Minto reforms. So at the time, the Lord Morley was the Secretary of State for India, and Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India. Okay, so this act has increased the size of the legislative councils. Okay, so the size of the Central Legislative Council has increased from 16 members to 60 members. Okay, for Central Legislative Council, the size was increased from 16 members to 60 members, and for the provincial legislative councils, there was the members are not uniform. So this act first time allowed the non-official members to the provincial legislative councils also. Okay, and the deliberative functions of the legislative councils, legislative assembly was enlarged in this act. Okay, so this act has associated Indians into the executive council of the Viceroy and the governor. Okay, the first such Indian to join the Viceroy's executive council was Satyendra Prasad Sinha. Satyendra Prasad Sinha. So he was the first Indian to join the Viceroy's executive council. Okay, and the next one, the system of the communal representation for Muslims was introduced in the Indian Councils Act. So there was a system of communal representation was introduced. Okay, system of communal representation was for Muslims was introduced. The father of the communal electorate was Lord Minto. So Lord Minto was the father of the communal electorate. And next, this act provided the separate representation for the presidential corporations. Okay, for the presidential corporations and the chambers of the commerce and universities and Jamindars. Okay, universities and Jamindars. So this Indian Councils Act of 1909 provided the separate representation for the presidential corporations, chambers of the commerce and universities and Jamindars. Okay, this was briefly about the Indian Councils Act of 1909. And then coming to the act was the Government of India Act 1919. Government of India Act 1919. Okay, so this act has relaxed the central control over the provinces. So this was the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. Montagu-Chelmsford reforms. So here the Lord Montagu was the Secretary of State for India and the Chelmsford was the Viceroy of India. So this act, what this act has done? So this act has relaxed the central control over the provinces, and this act has made the system or the structure of the government both unitary and centralized. Okay, both unitary and centralized one. So this act has made the structure of the government both unitary and centralized one, and then it divided the provincial subjects. So Government of India Act has divided the Government of India Act has divided the provincial subjects into the transformer subjects, and the reservoir subjects. So this transform subjects and the reserve subjects, it means it introduces the scheme of the diarchy. So these two was the scheme of the diarchy. Okay. So this transformer subjects was administered by the governor plus ministers responsible to the legislative council, and the reserve subjects was administered by the governor plus executive council without responsible to the legislative council. Okay, this Government of India Act 1919 first time introduced the bicameral bicameralism and direct elections in the country. So Indian Legislative Council, so bicameralism and direct elections in the country. So Indian Legislative Council was replaced by the bicameral legislature, so which consisting of the upper house, that is the Council of State, and the lower house, that is the Legislative Assembly. Okay, in this act, so the first time the bicameralism was introduced in the Government of India Act 1919, and next this act has extended the principle of the communal representation for the Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians. Okay, and next this act has made, so there are the 6 members in the Viceroy's Executive Council. So out of the 6 members, 3 members should be the Indians. Okay, according to this act, 3 out of the 6 Viceroy's Executive Councils ought to be the Indians, except the Commander-in-Chief. And next, the principal communal representation was extended for the Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, and the Europeans. And this act has provided the granted franchise on the basis of the property, tax, or education. Okay, this act has created a new office for the High Commissioner of India. The High Commissioner of India, which was performed by the Secretary of State for India. Okay, which was performed by the Secretary of State for India, and this act has established, so Government of India Act 1919 has established the Central Public Service Commission in 1926. Central Public Service Commission in 1926, and then it separated the provincial subjects and the central provincial budgets and the central budgets, and there was an appointment of the statutory commission to inquire into and reports on its working. Okay, this was briefly about the Government of India Act 1919. In this, the provincial subjects was divided into the transfer subjects and the reserved subjects, and the first time the bicameralism and the direct elections was introduced in the country in the Government of India Act 1919. And next was the Simon Commission. Okay, now we will deal with the Simon Commission. In November 1927, there was an appointment of the 7-member statutory commission. 7-member statutory commission was appointed to report on its the new constitution. Okay, this 7-member statutory commission, at the time the chairman for this statutory commission was the Sir John Simon. This commission has submitted its report in 1930. It recommended for abolition of the diarchy. It has recommended for establishment of the federation for the Indian government and British India and the princely states, and there was the extension of the responsible government in the provinces, and for the continuation of the communal electorate. Okay, this commission has made the recommendations of all these for abolition of diarchy, for establishment of the federation, for continuation of the communal electorates. Okay, for the proposals of this commission, 3 roundtable conferences was taken place. So who are the representatives of these 3 roundtable conferences? The British India, British government, and the princely states. Okay, and next the white paper on the constitutional framework has taken. White paper on constitutional framework for the consideration of the Joint Select Committee of the British government. Okay, the recommendations of the Joint Select Committee was incorporated in the Government of India Act 1935. Government of India Act 1935. Okay, the recommendations of the Joint Select Committee, which was was incorporated in the Government of India Act 1935. So, in the Simon Commission, there was the 7-member statutory commission. The chairman of this statutory commission was the Sir John Simon. So, this commission was appointed to report on the new constitution. It submitted its report in 1930. It abolished the diarchy. It established the federation of the British India and the princely states. It has recommended for the continuation of the communal electorate. For the proposals of this commission, the 3 three roundtable conferences was taking place. The representatives are the British India, British government and the princely states, and then the white paper on the constitutional framework has taken place for consideration of the Joint Select Committee of the British Parliament, and finally the recommendations of the Joint Select Committee was incorporated in the Government of India Act 1935. Okay, this was briefly about the Simon Commission. And the next one was the Communal Award. And the next one was the Communal Award. So this Communal Award, the Communal Award is about the scheme of representation of the minorities. Okay, this Communal Award is about the scheme of representation of minorities announced by the Ramsay MacDonald. Who is the British Prime Minister. Okay. At the time, the British Prime Minister was the Ramsay MacDonald. This Communal Award is about the scheme for the representation of the minorities. Okay, the scheme for the separate electorates for the Muslims, Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians was extended to the depressed classes also. So then Gandhiji has discussed over this extension of depressed classes. He undertook the fast for the modification of this Communal Award, and finally an agreement has taken place between the leaders of the Congress and the depressed classes. The agreement was known as the Pune Pact. Okay, the agreement was known as the Pune Pact. So this Pune Pact has retained the Hindu joint electorate and gave reserved seats to the depressed class. Okay, so this Communal Award is about the scheme of the representation for the minorities. It was announced by the Ramsay MacDonald, who is the British Prime Minister, and the separate electorate for the Muslims, Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians was extended to the depressed classes also. Then Gandhiji has distressed over this extension of depressed classes. He undertook the fast for getting modification of this Communal Award, and finally an agreement has taken place between the leaders of the Congress and the depressed classes, and this agreement was known as the Pune Pact, and this Pune Pact has retained the Hindu joint electorate and gave reserved seats for the depressed classes. Okay, in today's session we have discussed totally about the Government of India Act 1858, Indian Councils Act of 1861, Indian Council Act of 1892, Indian Council Act of 1909, Government of India Act 1919, and the Simon Commission and the Communal Award. And then in the next session we will discuss about the Government of India Act 1935 and Indian Independence Act of 1947. Okay, for more channel updates, please click on bell icon. If you like my video, please share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Have a nice day.